My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission has now hit theaters throughout most of the world, and as I just feel the love and want to talk more My Hero Academia with you guys, I decided that today we should rank all 3 theatrically released My Hero Academia films from the worst to the best. So without any further ado, let's go beyond plus ultra. Before we properly get started, just a few classic disclaimers. This is just my list. It doesn't have to be the same as yours, and lists are just for fun. It's never that deep. It's just an excuse for us to celebrate My Hero Academia. So I want to know your ranking down in the comments below. Make sure you start the conversation. Add in the seasons if you want to, the OVAs and whatnot, just as long as you talk anything and everything My Hero Academia. And if you like what you see here, make sure to click the subscribe button so you do not miss any more conversations about your favorite movies, TV, and of course anything My Hero Academia. Without any further ado, let's get started. Two Heroes was the first film released theatrically from the show in 2018 at this point, I believe. And look, this one and the one that's coming in at number 2 are pretty interchangeable. They have different flaws with them. Something that I really like about Two Heroes is it's very simple plot. It's very much straight to the point. It's this hostage situation that happens in this technologically advanced island, and then our heroes in training have to unite and make the best they can to try and stop these villains, as All Might himself is subdued by these villains. I really like this. I really like how it brings the team together and has all of them working together, using their strengths, making these very interesting combos that enhance each of their chances to succeed. And of course, we have an amazing third act union of Midoriya and All Might working together, as this is set after the events of Season 3, Episode 11, when All Might beats One for All. By the way, still the best episode of the show. There's an intense and inherent satisfying feeling in seeing Deku and All Might working together to defeat this guy and put him to rest, as neither of them alone could do it, but together. There's just something that is very cathartic with the journey that we've been having throughout this film, but also throughout the show to get to this point. It's just a chef's kiss moment that really closes out this film on a great note. What holds this one back is I feel the plot is simplistic to a point. Now, it allows them to go straight for the story. Just get in there. It kind of feels forced how all of the students just turned out that they had jobs or something in the island to come together. Oh, and none of them knew about each other's jobs on the island. It just feels odd. It feels odd that none of them knew what each other was doing. And it just feels like an extended episode of the show. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the story works, but it feels like we could have just watched this as part of the season and not necessarily a big screen adaptation of characters that we love, and it's great to see them on an adventure, but it just doesn't stand out as a grandiose story. Also, I really dislike the villain of this film. It just feels so random. It feels like any guy, and in that sense, I don't buy that this random dude would be a threat to All Might. He wouldn't even be a threat to all these students, but nevertheless, he's the main villain. It just feels like they had this entire story, this entire plot, this entire film, and then they were like, oh shit, we don't have a villain. Who should the villain be? That guy, the one with the mask. And that's the one they went with. I think that holds the film back a little bit. But nevertheless, seeing All Might and Deku team up at the end to finally beat him is nevertheless satisfying because of that team up. World Heroes Mission is my number 2, the latest film released as an adaptation of the ongoing series. And look, I think something that really works for this film is how very isolated it is. Like, we know none of these films are canon, we know none of these films are going to affect the show actively, but this one really begins and ends its own thing without really correlating to the show, I think to its advantage. I think the villain, contrary to Heroes, is spectacular. It brings forth those interesting discussions that I think the show itself excels at, with the ideology of the quirk versus the quirkless, and what are humans, and are the people with quirks really human? Are they an evolution of humanity? Will they get out of I think that's all very interesting, and I think Fleckturn has not only a great quirk in himself, but I think he makes a great case for his beliefs. And it also allows for Todoroki and Bakugo to get the spotlight alongside Deku, with this trio, all of them really taking charge. Obviously, Deku will take the bigger spotlight, as he should. He's the lead character, there's nothing wrong with that. Can we talk about that third act holy shit moment of United States of World Smash? That was incredible. But what holds this one back from being number one, and really why I talked about it being interchangeable with the number 3, is because I felt like the ideas and themes of this film were much stronger in concept than they were in execution. The story just feels very relaxed for me for the first half of the film, until we get to the action part, which, yes, we all like the action part, and the animation is stellar on the big screen. But I just wish the film could have had more urgency, it could have had more dread. Our villain could have been even better if he went the extra mile to, let's say, kill some of the members of his organization, to pile up some bodies and blame it on Deku, as that is a plot point in the film, but it's just an accusation that comes out of nowhere. And I just wish there were a lot more details incremented into the story, not just this organization that we see them pulling off one terrorist attack. I just wish we could have seen a more ruthless and merciless side of them. But again, the action part really satisfies on this one. Quick before we move on to number 1, don't forget to let me know your ranking of the films and of the seasons if you want to do that in the comments below. Remember to subscribe if you're enjoying this. And I did review World Heroes Mission, that's on my channel right now, and you can click right here to watch it. Or if you want to see an older review, click right here to see my review of Heroes Rising. Without any further ado, let's find out what is number 1. Heroes Rising easily comes in at number 1. As films that are adaptations of ongoing shows, they are not canon, I think this is as perfect as it gets. It's an incredible story in itself, it feels grand, and it continues the ongoing struggles and arcs and conflicts of the show. These are students in a hero academy, there are heroes in training trying to prove themselves. This entire film is just a big test. It's also the film that allows us to see not only them working together as this big team, as they all have to put their best foot forward in trying to stop 9, but early on in the film we see them actually doing hero stuff, not just fighting big villains and destroying things. We see them helping people get a tractor started. We see them helping an old lady cross town to get to her home. We see them helping people carrying groceries. We see them just doing mundane stuff that is actually stuff that heroes do on a day-to-day basis. And I freaking love that. Not only that, I still feel this is the strongest villain, where I felt Fleckturn is a villain with interesting ideologies and it has a very strong case made for himself. 9 is just a ruthless son of a bitch that puts our heroes up against the corner. He makes our heroes desperate. At points he beats our heroes. He's the best example of a one-hit villain, which we always know these villains are just going to last for the film. 9 is the best example of that, where we also give him closure by the end of the film, closing out this chapter for our heroes. And of course, the third act of this film alone, with Deku and Bakugo not only working together, but making their last stand as everyone else has tried their best, as we had mini squads facing off against the rest of 9's team, which in itself is awesome. We see the teams working together. We give the most spotlight to most of the characters in this film, but really, the one-for-all team-up is the thing that makes this film. It's the thing that elevates it. It's Deku trusting Kacchan to be worthy of that quirk, to entrust his strength in the kid who has bullied him all through his life, but that he wanted the approval of, and he finally does approve. He finally does entrust Deku with this and teams up with him, and we see them finally as equals. More importantly, Kacchan sees Deku as an equal, and it's all out magnificence from there. The animation is always strongest in these films than it is in television, and in television it's great, but this film, that whole attack as soon as they divide up one for all, chef's kiss, it's beautiful. So Heroes Rising, easily the champion of the My Hero Academia films for me. And that is my ranking of the My Hero Academia films. Bar none, the number one was the easiest for me to pick, but I want to know your thoughts. How do you rank the films? How do you rank the season? Feel free to rank anything and everything My Hero Academia, just as long as you start the conversation in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Make sure to click the subscribe button if you enjoy what you saw here, so you do not miss any future conversation about your favorite movies and TV. I'll be back very soon with more reviews such as Finch, Eternals, and many others this week, and I hope to see you there. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.